You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, JD Church, Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely.
And you are watching Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, joined this week by Chris Triplett, Chris McFeely, and Nicole Hale. Welcome, crew.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
It is Fanboy Versus The Hangover, as we are, some of us maybe, or some of you were hungover from St. Patrick's Day, which was yesterday for a lot of people. Which would be 2 days ago if you're listening to the show on Monday or whatever. But anyway,
or any number of days ago if you downloaded it as a podcast, since that's the way this works.
May have been 10 years ago, depending on how well archived this show is and when you listen to it.
Hello, future alien lizards that have taken over the world.
Depending on whether or not our robot overlords permit us.
Right. And to me in the future, I left the keys under the desk. So, anyway, decent show today. We already know this. Why?
Because we're that good.
Because we're that good. We're just solid. So, all of us ran out amazingly and like read a comic in common. So we're going to be talking about Saga at the end of this show. A lot of talk, a lot of hype about this comic.
I'm going to take some credit for that.
Yeah, you did talk
for you guys all buying it.
Well, of course, in the U.S., a lot of those of us in the U.S. and our Puritan background went totally apeshit over the cover because, dear God, a woman is performing a natural act on the cover, and that just can't happen. So even my shop.
It's okay. But see, because I thought it was ironic because the way that my comic book was set up, this was right underneath Lady Death, and I'm like, okay, so people have a problem with Saga, but they don't have a problem with Lady Death.
Yeah, it's perfectly okay for a woman to be nearly naked.
So there was an actual issue with that, because I didn't even pay attention to that until after I'd read the issue. Then I went back, I was like, oh yeah, she is doing that on the cover.
Yeah.
Believe me, if you want to be offended, there's lots more stuff in here you could potentially be offended about better than what's on the cover.
Yeah, but it's not an Alan Moore sort of offended, so I think we're okay. So, anyway, that's that. But another thing that happened this weekend was WonderCon, and that will be probably the thrust of our news, will it not?
Yeah, such as it is. Such as it is. I even missed this one because it was announced sometime in the last hour when I wasn't looking at my computer. But I see it's been announced that Brian Wood is going to be writing both X-Men and Ultimate X-Men as of June, which is pretty surprising.
Now, which X-Men book is that? I mean, is it just X-Men Legacy?
Yeah, no, that's just adjectiveless X-Men. That's the one that's currently Victor Gischler's, but it's the one that started out with the vampires.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
That one.
The one that has as its manifesto, the team up book for the X-Men.
Okay.
Being quite honest, I haven't had time to read this article as I've only just found out about it, so I don't know if he's actually said anything about what he's planning to do. I'm surprised to hear that Nick Spencer is leaving the book so soon, but I talked about his run a little while back there, and it didn't just never seemed to take off for me. So, but Brian Wood is good. So
now who is Brian Wood? What has he done? I'm not familiar.
Brian Wood has done. I know his name. Now you're challenging me to actually tell you these stuff because I know
maybe I've read something before. And I want to know. Maybe
we're gonna need you to justify that opinion.
Yeah, let me just pull up some names because I've read some of his stuff. This is the thing. I'm just trying to remember what you would call it. Let's see. DMZ was his Vertigo series, which just wrapped up recently. Demo was one that I read a fair few of. We did that with Becky Cloonan, who was supposed to do that Doctor Doom miniseries that got cancelled a little while ago. That was a 12-issue series where each issue was its own complete story. And just dealt with all manner of stories. What's he been doing most recently? He did a 12-issue. He repeated the demo format with a 12-issue series called Local from Oni Press. DMZ is basically, and Northlanders over at Vertigo is him as well. I've read demo or bits of demo, and I remember really enjoying it. So
I've heard of these books, but I've never read them. So I guess maybe I haven't read anything.
Yeah, from the limited exposure I've had to him, I can definitely say I've really enjoyed the work that he did. Those demos specifically that I know his name from. He did some issues of Generation X back in 2000, apparently as well. Partly co-written them with Warren Ellis. So there you go. Scanning down the rest of it. DV8 from Wildstorm, that was him as well.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Oh, and he's currently writing the Wolverine and the X-Men Alpha and Omega miniseries.
Yeah, I didn't pick up any of that.
Okay. Yeah.
I wonder if that's any good, though.
Oh, and he's writing the new Conan the Barbarian series that launched at Dark Horse just last month, which I heard some very good things about, too. Right, there's your Brian. There's your pocketed history of Brian Wood. Sticking with the X-Men, it's also been announced that apparently they feel it's necessary to launch a 73rd X-Men book.
What?
If you were thinking that there just aren't enough X-Men books,
I
here's
know,
another.
you're just like, I need some X-Men, and there's like none of the 105 series currently on the shelves.
Apparently,
was just going to do it for
so
you.
the same people that were demanding all those Deadpool books are now demanding X-Men books? Is that what
I guess. Extreme X-Men is back.
Oh, it's back.
Well, it was previously. Well, they previously published a
So
title.
who's on the Extreme team?
Well, Greg Pak is writing it, and let's see. It is. Oh, okay. I know these characters actually. Really, they're doing this as a series? Yeah. It's being written by Greg Pak. It's spinning out of a story Pak recently wrote in Astonishing X-Men about an alternate Earth team of X-Men who have been sacrificing mutants from other dimensions to preserve the integrity of their shattered world. Without regular energy sacrifices from mutants, their world will come apart. And apparently they decided those characters were... this couldn't be an ongoing, surely. This must be a mini-series. I can't. No, they're saying it's an ongoing.
Yeah, because Marvel hasn't been doing minis, really.
Yeah, that's weird. So Emma Frost, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, just looking different.
Oh, this is the one where they have like the darker costumes and the... Is that it? Or...
They're not especially darker. No, they're
okay.
just different.
Okay.
Is it supposed to be like a twist on Exiles or something? Hang on,
This does not sound like a book that I want.
No, I can't. I'm just
Sounds like a
baffled.
book many people would want. Why?
I'm just befuddled.
Is it the 90s? Did something happen?
Yeah. Is it going to be like an alternate universe jumping thingy, like there'll be like a take on Exiles or something? I don't know why they wouldn't call it the Exiles show. There shares a name. Apparently, there's going to be dimension hopping involved in it, so it's basically Exiles by any other name from the sound of it, which has already failed 3 times.
Why would you call it Extreme X-Men? That was totally different.
I guess they want to renew the trademark on that title. I've just clicked on the forum thread for Comic Book Resources to see if anybody's still the one sentence, and the first post is, somehow this article makes it sound even more like an early April Fool's joke.
Because old Extreme X-Men was basically the X-Men book you went to if you wanted Chris Claremont, because they weren't letting him run Uncanny.
Yeah.
Wasn't writing anything else, so he was doing Extreme X-Men. That was the point of that book.
That is... I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled by that. Puzzled. But what I am not puzzled about is the other announcement to come out of WonderCon, which is the announcement of the new Captain Marvel series, which we had heard about and heard some rumblings about. This is Marvel's Captain Marvel, not Shazam.
Right.
This is the real Captain Marvel.
So 2 weeks in a row we're talking about Captain Marvel, but not the same one.
Not the same. No. This
Not
Captain
even the
Marvel.
same gender.
Yes, this is Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers. Miss Marvel is going to become the new Captain Marvel.
I kind of like this.
I am on board for this. It's being written by Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Exactly.
And we all read. Well, most of us read Osborne, Kelly Sue's Osborne miniseries. So I'm totally on board for this one. Yeah. I mean, I don't. The costume doesn't thrill me. The costume is designed by Jamie McKelvey of Phonogram. It doesn't scream Captain Marvel. I've always thought Miss Marvel's. Ms. Marvel was one of the rare examples of somebody who had their costume completely overhauled, and the overhaul was better than the original, and it stuck for 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I was talking with JD about before, because like when I see that new costume, I think she's the She-Booster Gold, is what I was thinking.
There's that pose, yeah.
I think it has the essence of at least. I know dick about Captain Marvel, so we'll qualify my statement with that. But just looking at that costume, it looks like the other Captain Marvel costume, just on a woman.
Oh yeah, no.
And
so
she's
still got the sash there from her costume, So I don't know. Maybe it's the lack of mask. Maybe it's the short hair. Well, she's got short hair.
Well, she does have a mask though.
She has like a helmet.
She does have a helmet.
Yeah.
Again, but this is just this is one of those things that I can see was even if she keeps the code name, we'll get that old costume back as soon as somebody gets their way on it. It's a fine costume, but it's never going to supersede the not that I just. Well, hang on, I saw Kelly DeConnick made a comment about the original costume. I don't think it's in this article that I have open in front of me. She made a crack about the swimsuit and waders. I'm gonna check this out definitely.
I'll definitely check it out.
It's supposed to be
spinning out. It sells better because like Miss Marvel, she had another chance of her own book, and it only lasted like what, something like 30?
Yeah, 50 issues
or something. It lasted 50. Okay.
50 is a pretty respectable number,
That's higher than I thought. I was thinking like 30s where it capped out at, but
it went to 50. They let it go to 50. It was a decent book too. I mean, the thing, if that book had a problem, it was that it started out with a remit, which was following on from House of M, Carol, in which Carol was the greatest superhero in the world. She was Captain Marvel, and she was the world's premier superhero. She said to herself, if it could happen there, why can't I make it happen here? And it was she was going to be the best of the best. She was going to rededicate herself to everything and become the best superhero she could be and be the best. And then just sort of forgot about that. As a goal, that was basically sort of never stated again outside of the first arc. So it really wandered off topic. But I like the character. I really like the writer. It's spinning out of her role in AVX in some capacity. We've already seen a cover for an AVX tie-in, which seems to show Captain Marvel bursting out of the ground. I still don't believe he'd be back from the dead. Even they knew better than to do that back during Civil War when they tried to go in that direction. And I'm gonna check this one out. I don't know about you guys. I'm gonna check this out.
Oh yeah, I'm up for it. When is it coming out? Do we know?
That is June or July, I think. Let me see if she's announced. If there's been a date announced for that yet.
If it's the new #1, I'll most likely take it.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. July. Yeah, so out in July.
Sweet. That works for me.
And that is all the news I've really seen come out of WonderCon this week.
Cool.
Just a lot of people talking about their AVX tie-ins. Otherwise, we've found out that the storyline that's going to follow Ends of the Earth in Spider-Man is going to be a return to the Lizard story.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So do we know in May how many titles are going to include the title Avengers? Yeah.
I haven't counted. Are there any more than normal?
Well, I mean, I didn't know if we're moving into the Avengers versus X-Men.
Well, nothing's changed.
What do you mean, moving into Avengers versus X-Men? Moving into the movie comes out, and let's put Avengers everywhere is what you meant.
Right. Exactly.
Just put Avengers on everything.
It's like the Fantastic Four Avengers comes out, X-Men Avengers comes out.
Yeah.
Avengers Academy Avengers comes out.
Avengers Academy.
New Avengers.
New Avengers.
They should do like Avengers with crossover of like Alex, the TV show. Them all working in a diner. That would be something to go for. I could see them.
Avengers After Hours.
God. I think that already happened. I think Troy Hickman put it out, and I think it was called. That's what was the. Now I lost the name of it.
Totally Twilight Guard.
Yeah, the one he did with Jurgens, but now
well
it
done,
escapes
Jake.
me. I know. I was trying to plug his stuff, and I'm just like,
You're not prepared.
Troy and I are like,
Fail, Jade.
this.
Fail.
I'll think of it in like 5 minutes, and then I'll be like, "Brah!" and I'll interrupt Chris Triplett's review. So anyway, I guess we'll get to Chris Triplett's review, since all of his stuff is on the Kindle this week. So apparently,
Yeah, I did Comixology this week because I just couldn't find time to get to the comic store.
I've got the Dead Tree edition, so.
But,
Common Grounds.
woohoo!
There we go.
But-
All right, I didn't even have to interrupt most of your.
Almost.
There.
Yeah. So I decided to do Avengers Assemble #1 this week because, hey, it's a new Avengers book. It's Bendis. It's Mark Bagley. I mean, all this says awesome. You know, and it's like the classic Avengers. It's Captain America. It's Thor. It's Iron Man. Hell, even the Hulk's there. When was the last time
It's
the
the
Hulk was
movie
actually... It's the what?
The movie cast.
It's the movie cast. Yeah, exactly.
That's the shtick of this. That is it. Top rank creators do the movie cast in a new Avengers book when there's a film.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
So,
Let's
like,
find out.
should I just, like, say the positive first? Because, like...
That should take less time. Go ahead.
Just some. Well, give us a quick rundown of it first of all.
The issue starts, and there's this group, which this group of bad guys, which I don't even know who these guys are. Maybe you know who they are. I was looking through them and trying to. I mean, they kind of seem familiar, but I don't know if we've ever seen them.
I don't think they're supposed to be anybody recognizable.
And they're just talking about like gaining power and all this, and the group that they're putting together, they're going to call themselves Zodiac, and like each member of the group is is like a Zodiac, symbol type thing.
What?
Yeah, that's how the book starts. Like this
the
guy.
Zodiac is a long-standing Avengers baddie organization. There have been a bajillion incarnations of it, often with one having nothing to do with the other. Sometimes they're just people who will use them as code names. Sometimes they have superpowers related to them. Sometimes they are crazy animal people. But here's a new Zodiac because
I had no idea because I haven't even read anything with the Zodiac before, so I was like, who are these people? But like that's how the issue starts, and then like the big thing that happens is that Stark has rebuilt Avengers Tower, and there's this huge celebration with fireworks and everything, and just introducing the Avengers, and we get the press seeing the Avengers, and it's like the classic Avengers, like I was saying, it's Cap, it's Thor, it's Iron Man. Hey, there's Wolverine. What's he doing there?
Well, I think the thing that's important to note here is that this is not like a new team announcement meeting or anything. This is just all of the different Avengers teams gathering up and going, check out our sweet new digs. Yeah. There is nothing here in which the new team consisting of the movie cast is actually formed as a distinct third Avengers unit. That's probably worth pointing out for starters.
Yeah, it's just like the new Avengers and the regular Avengers characters just together, and they even make a comment about like how you guys can stay here, you can treat this as your home, but they're just making a big deal out of the towers being rebuilt after. When did the tower get destroyed? That was
Fear Itself.
Fear Itself, yeah. And we get a scene with the Hulk, and we get to see Hulk spin Hulk out in the desert, and he's just kind of
doing Hulk
stuff. And the military thinks he's gonna rob him because the military is going through the desert. I mean, like basically
9 pages of Hulk stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like the story. Just to kind of jump to the end real quick. For me, it's a non-starter. I mean, it's like there's this first issue. And, like, though it is beautiful, the positive, Mark Bagley's art is fantastic.
Not even his best art, I have to say. But, bad Mark Bagley is still pretty good.
But it's still gorgeous. I mean, it still looks great. Like you were saying, like, Hulk doing Hulk stuff, fighting the army in the desert, looks awesome. I mean, it looks awesome. But, like, there's this stuff going down, there's like this Zodiac group that's like robbing the military people. They're stealing something. They don't really talk about what it is, and Hulk kind of gets involved.
Far from the only thing they don't talk about in this issue.
Yeah. And the Avengers are like, well, some of them, like Hawkeye and Black Widow, are casing some joint, doing something. I can't.
That's it again. They're doing something.
They're doing something.
I don't tell us a single damn thing about what's going on in this comic.
But like, so like by the end of the issue, I'm like thinking, okay, so like, where's the thing that's gonna make me want to buy issue 2? If this was like my first issue of Avengers, let's say I have no knowledge of Avengers, I saw a trailer for the movie. Hey, that movie looks cool. Hey, there's a comic book out and it says #1. Let me go check this out. What is gonna make me want to buy that second issue? Let's see. It ends with a big Minotaur fighting the Avengers, which would be awesome, but still, for some reason, it's not. It just ends. You know?
That's exactly what I was going to say. It just stops.
It just stops. Like, you know, it's not like something happens. Like, give me anything. Oh, God, you know, they were talking about, like, Hawkeye, talking about, like, oh, at my funeral, you know, Black Widow, tell them about my manhood, you know. I want everybody to know my manhood was just awesome and all this stuff. And I was thinking, okay, so are they leading up to, like, Hawkeye's going to get killed in the first issue or something? But no, that doesn't happen.
And him in a film. What a shocker.
You know, like, is like the Hulk going to do something? Because, you know, the Hulk's not actually a member of the team, but no, he doesn't. Not really. So are we going to find out that Minotaur is actually some old Avenger that's, like, you know, now going to get revenge? No, it's just a Minotaur. He says, do not steal from the Zodiac.
I mean, this is obviously Taurus from the Zodiac. Oh, no, he does actually identify himself by name.
Yeah, he says Taurus. Yeah, he says, my name's Taurus. But, like, I mean, the point is that it's like, what makes me want to buy the second issue? I mean, like, I will probably get the second issue because I like Avengers, but if I didn't know what Avengers was, what in here is going to make me want to buy the next issue? And there really isn't anything.
So when you downloaded this on your Kindle, did you think, oh, this didn't download all the way? There's got to be more.
Yeah, there's going to be another.
Am I missing some pages?
Then I switch to the next page and I see an ad for Avengers versus X-Men. I was like, nope, that's it.
No more of that.
Wow.
So,
no,
yeah, like,
I mean,
I feel kind of gypped. This was $4.
Oh, God, yeah, totally. It's 21 pages, so you're getting a whole extra page for your $4.
So I got...
Instead of the standard 20.
Yeah, so I got the digital version, I feel gypped. But even if I got the print version, I still feel gypped. You know,
well, I get the print version, but I get a free digital copy with my print version, so it's like, yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I was
sure
looking forward to
that right away, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, I really hate this. I really hate that I don't like it better because I was looking forward to this. Because, like, dude, Bendis, Bagley, the Avengers. Oh my God! I mean, this should be fantastic. Why is this not fantastic? And I hate to come down on it so hard, but
no, you're quite right.
Just because a movie's coming out, just because you're Bendis, just because you're Bagley, doesn't mean you should not be making something badass. And they didn't do it. It was disappointing.
There's no story here to justify a brand new start, you know. I mean, the idea of a new Zodiac is not unappealing. It's a funny thing. The Avengers, despite being like the premier team in the Marvel Universe, they don't really have many good baddies. They have Ultron, and they have Kang, and what do they got after that? They don't really, you know. You could say the Masters of Evil, but the Masters of Evil is made up of a group of other people's baddies, or the individual characters' bad guys. Right. The Zodiac is a pretty Avengers-specific team of baddies, and then we get introduced to and I'm like, this is Bendis doing the Hood again. The speech that is it Cancer? Yeah, the speech Cancer gives at the start here to the other Zodiac. It's just the Hood spiel about, oh, we all have dreams, and we'll help you do that, and we're offering teamwork. If one succeeds, we all succeed. If one's in trouble, we'll come and rescue that one guy. And it's like, why is there any idea at all that this should be some kind of co-op villain thing instead of an actual team of bad guys out to do a team job? You know, it's just the Hood's spiel again, with all the distinction offered the individual members of the Hoods gang here, which is to say, Buckaree all. Oh, that dude's got a scarred up face, so he's literally the most interesting member of the whole Zodiac is the dude who's all clawed up on one side of his face with an eye missing.
Yeah.
Because it's like he looks interesting. There's nothing there. I mean, and the comic just doesn't give you anything to go on. I mean, it'd be one thing if it really felt like they were setting up a mystery to follow up on, you know, like that would make you come back for the second. But the Zodiac don't have their powers, first of all, when we first meet them, and they talk about a secret wellspring of power where they're going to get power from. Then when we see them again, they've got them already. So we don't know what did that. We don't know we don't even know which member of the Zodiac it is that steals this payload from this army convoy that the Hulk accidentally stumbles into the middle of. I'm assuming it's Aquarius since he's water powered. We don't know what that is. We don't know what Black Widow and Hawkeye are doing in Latveria. That's where that happens. And then, you know, there's no cliffhanger. It just stops. Taurus just throws Thor through a jeep and goes, nah, and it just says to be continued. I was like, really?
What was
really?
that? I didn't pick that up. What was that?
Yeah, I mean, like, the only real mystery is, like, what's in those containers, right? Like, that thing that's out in the desert and that thing that's, they're loading onto that Jeep.
They seem to be the same thing, whatever they are, whatever the thing that's in the army convoy and whatever these Latverian gun runners are moving around. But the thing, it's like, there's even a scene that's like, Hawkeye's chatting away, and Black Widow says shush, and she says shut up and look in the window, and Hawkeye looks in the window, and they both go quiet, and he goes, that's weird, and she calls the Avengers in, and we get no look at what it is. There's no sense that we're supposed to be mystified. There's just nothing. It's just so empty. You know, there's plenty of stuff unanswered, but no excitement surrounding it, and it stimulates no desire in me to find out what it is. Now, I'm a sucker, so I am gonna buy the next one, but you know, this is going to have to shape up in very short order.
Yeah,
because frankly, I already knocked my Avengers completism on the head by not getting Secret Avengers anymore. So frankly, you know, that's just a game of fucking Jenga in my brain as far as I'm concerned. I've poked out the block marked Secret Avengers, and that's destabilized the whole thing. If I'm not getting all of them, I shouldn't feel any obligation to get this one as well to complete the set, and it's going to have to do a lot to impress me in very short order if I'm going to keep picking this up. Because, like I say, it's not even about a new team based around the movie cast being formed. The characters just sort of happen into the same place at the same time. The Hulk thing is completely disconnected from anything else that's going. The Hulk sounds weird in this as well, you know. First of all, he's doing his Hulk smash routine and not the what he's like in the Hulk comic at the minute, for starters. And then even Bendis can't even write that right either. It just doesn't. The Hulk's almost being snarky, you know. The Hulk's almost doing Bendis snark. And that's just he just sounds weird. Next good. Next good.
What?
What?
Not good. Not good.
Good.
It's not
good.
good.
Oh, it's not good. It's not good. Yes. Yeah. It would seem if you were gonna do the sort of mystery to be intriguing, it would have to actually be like intriguing in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have even bought this if Bagley wasn't doing it, because like I like Bendis, but you know what? Another Bendis Avengers comic.
Yeah, I mean that's the ridiculous part.
Don't really need it.
This is the third ongoing Bendis Avengers. It's like, and we know Bendis is leaving New Avengers and regular Avengers later this year. Don't know what's happening with this. If this is where the Ultron War is going to happen, I'll get that, because you know I've waited long enough to see it happen. But there, you know, there's like the question is, what is this book? Why is this book? And it is, you know, it's not like where Thor split off from Journey into Mystery, or where Invincible Iron Man had his new start, and they were new starts for the book, and there was no other Thor or other Iron Man book. They were their own things. They were the book, and they just got rebooted for the movie. Well, no, I'm sorry. There are 3 other Avengers books. You need to give me more of a reason for this to exist than there is a film, because the book itself has nothing. And I feel like Bendis pretty much maybe even sort of like knows that there's nothing there.
Yeah, I feel like it had the opportunity to be the Avengers book. Like, you know, I really don't feel like New Avengers is the Avengers book, and even Avengers itself has kind of degraded. It's not really the Avengers book.
I mean, That Dark Avenger, that Osborn arc, started okay, dipped, picked back up in the third quarter. I was really looking forward to the end. Massive anticlimax of the highest order in this week's issue of Avengers, where, I mean, okay, guys, well, Norman Osborn turns out has been spoilers, big fucking, has been bioengineered into a kind of like organic super adaptoid. That's where Osborn's been getting all these other powers he's been slinging around in the Avengers this week. Now, how does every single 1980s children's cartoon that you've ever seen about supervillains who gain the power to absorb powers end? Come on.
He uses all of them at once and then blows up?
Well, not the blowing up part, but yes.
Okay.
He absorbs too much power and goes... And that's the resolution. And where does that resolution happen? In a small thumbnail-sized panel at the bottom right-hand corner of a page, where you expect to turn the page and see an image, a full page splash perhaps, of Norman Osborn collapsed in a heap, because he's a large purple Hulk in this when he absorbs the Hulk's power. And except no, you turn the page and the scene has changed, and apparently Osborn got collapsed and went into a coma off panel. Would somebody let Spider-Man punch Norman Osborn?
Yes.
So,
what happened to the Goblin cult? What happened to all the people with the Goblin tattoos and the idea of Norman surreptitiously working his return in that way? Like, what happened to Norman Osborn belonging to Spider-Man and being Spider-Man's to punch out? Where is that? God, I'm so looking forward to Ends of the Earth.
But you don't understand. It's Bendis. You see, Bendis loves Osborn, and he's jealous of Hope. So he wanted to have his own evil version of Hope. Well, evil Osborn version of Hope. And there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a perfect way to write a lot of cool, snarky lines, and there you go.
A very dissatisfying week for Avengers books. Thank God there's some other good books out this week.
Yeah. So I think we spent enough time on those. Let's just go.
Okay, get off of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And while we're doing that, Chris McFeely will refresh this video again, if you would, please. No? Okay. I know. All right, Nicole, go.
Was your computer drinking for St. Patrick's Day? Because it's not. Your video's not working too well today.
Well,
it's
it was
over.
I am.
All right, well, this week I am reviewing The Secret History of D.B. Cooper. It is written and, I guess, arted or drawn.
Arted?
It is written and arted.
I claim arted as a word for Fanboy Versus. We can say that now.
All right.
Do it. Arted.
by Brian Chirulia. Now, I picked this up because I've always kind of like the history of D.B. Cooper. Who is this guy? Why hasn't he ever been caught? What's his story?
Tell the kids at home who D.B. Cooper is if they don't know.
Well, actually, if you don't know, that you're in luck because it actually tells the story on the very first page. So, basically, he's a guy that hijacked a plane back in 1971. And he's requested 2 parachutes and a whole lot of money. Well, the thing is, he actually got his demands. He took off with the plane, and he escaped by using the parachutes, and he landed somewhere in the wilderness. And he's been on the run ever since. They've never caught him.
Well, that's not... back up a little bit. He jumped out of the plane. That's all we know.
That's all we know.
They never found the money. They never found him. They never found the parachutes. So there is a whole controversy about whether or not he actually escaped. Most people think that he died. He never resurfaced. They never found him again. So odds are good. And I think they did find some of his stuff, and I think they have found some of the money. But
a parachute or something.
Yeah. So the going theory is that he died somewhere, and of course his body will never be found because it was in the middle of a forest, and you just don't,
Yeah, it was between Portland, Oregon, and Seattle that the plane was going.
Yeah, but yes,
they're sort of turned into an almost folkloric figure now at this stage. Like they've made films about him, they've told stories about him, and here is a comic about him.
Yeah, we've got a comic of him. So it kind of like there's like a little recap, and of course they're showing the Channel 4 News is saying, he sees this guy, he's very dangerous, you know, stay away from him, call your authorities. And so that's what, you get the basic story within the first page. But then everything changes in this story. So they're taking some liberties with telling who this guy is. They actually give him a name. They give him a daughter. He doesn't like to talk about his daughter, though. Do not talk about his daughter, Donna. So we don't know what happens there. And it goes back to a week before he makes his heist. And this is very trippy. He is like in a fantasy world where he's talking to a one-eared teddy bear.
Okay.
And yeah. And he's in this land where there's like all this good stuff lying around, but it's not junk. It's like helpful stuff. He finds a lighter. He finds, you know, and he never runs out of cigarettes. So the lighter comes in handy because he's always looking for cigarettes, but he never runs out. So you're like, okay, so what's this about? So he's talking to this one-eared teddy bear. This sounds really trippy. And so they're walking through this mystical realm or whatever, and of course the teddy bear brings up Donna, and he's like, "Do not talk to about my daughter." Okay.
No, wait, hang on. So when this is set after he's jumped out of the plane, right?
Yeah, this is before.
This is before, right? So where's the mystical land come into it now?
It doesn't. Well, we'll get to that.
Okay, right. So this is just
Yeah.
where it just begins with him in this.
Yeah, it goes from the history into the week before, where it seemed like this realm of just what the hell, you know. And so he's walking with this teddy bear, and of course they come across this marsh monster, I guess you could call it, and of course he does like the whole CGI growl right in front of you, you know how you see in the movies. And the thing is, he's roaring at him, and he sniffs D.B. Cooper, and he's like, and he starts throwing up, because apparently D.B. Cooper doesn't smell good. And of course, the monster throws up on him. But it's like this toxic throw up, and then he becomes a ninja. D.B. Cooper becomes like a ninja. He has the sword.
Wait a minute.
He starts.
So there's a one-eared teddy bear, never-ending cigarettes, and D.B. Cooper became a ninja.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a lot less normal than I thought this was going to be.
It is. I was not expecting it until I opened it. I'm like, interesting. And a throwing up monster. Nice.
Ellis writing this comic, by the way.
No, it's Brian Chirillia. He's I know, but then there's also this other side story that involves the Kremlin, and you see like what's his name, Mr. Knitten. Mr. Knitten. He's working for the Kremlin, and you see this gal bringing his lunch, and then you get the flashback between the Kremlin and this fantasy world. So they're going on and off, and then you come to realize that somehow they're connected, because whatever happening in the Kremlin is happening in this fantasy world. And this is kind of a little spoilers, but it gets to the point. So when D.B. Cooper in the fantasy world slices this monster's head in half with, you know, with this little samurai sword, because he's a ninja, the same thing happens to this guy in the Kremlin. His head splits in half. And of course, the gal who's bringing his lunch is like, what just happened? So then you come to a little bit of what is the hell's going on. You're in the secret hotel where they're doing kind of an experiment on D.B. Cooper, and they're putting like these eye drops in his eyes, which at the very end you see he started to go into a trippy mode. So he is basically thinking of this fantasy world, why he's under this hypnotic, like, eye lubricant, but at the same time he's controlling what's happening in the Kremlin. So it's very interesting.
What?
Sort of psychic remote assassination sort of thing.
Yeah. So he works for the FBI, and they're doing like this experiment. I'm not kidding. This is so fun, because you're just like, wow, I was not expecting this. I just
Fun is not really the word that's coming to mind.
Each one of these pages has something you're just like, nice. Nice. I gotta admit, I was really entertained with this book. So, like I said, when the first page you read it, you're like, okay, this is great. It's telling about the history, and then that next page you're just like, there's a one-eared teddy bear that he's talking to, and the teddy bear is like 4 foot tall. You're just like, nice. So he's tripping out in fantasy land as well as remote killing someone in the Kremlin.
What?
Okay.
What? What?
Mercy.
What?
So
What does that even?
where is this
What does
going?
that even remotely have to do with D.B. Cooper?
That's the thing. So it's called The Secret History of D.B. Cooper. So
No, this is the psychotic history of D.B. Cooper. This is the
secret.
Hey, you know what? It sounds better than Avengers Assemble. I'm just saying.
I mean, it does at least seem to have a story.
the story was so much fun. I'm like, he's a ninja, for goodness sakes.
I don't know if about ninjas being automatic win.
No, but
Yeah, I
the
mean,
way
I hear that and I wonder, like, how much of this is, I haven't read it myself, but it's like, I'm wondering how much of that is just random imagery for the sake of random imagery, you know?
the thing is, there's some really funny parts in here. and
What? What company put this out?
It is Onai.
Who?
Okay. Oni, they did.
Oh, Oni. Okay.
Onai Pro.
Oni.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I liked it. It was very entertaining. It was just like, because each page you're just like, what the hell? And you're just like, okay, I get it. It works. It sounds a little, if you read it, it flows right. But if to explain it, everyone's like confused, like.
But still, I mean, this sounds like something that is invoking the name of one thing to do something completely different. And I don't like that. I mean, that's kind of a bait and switch to me, really. I mean, if they wanted to go the direction that, like, I don't know, if they wanted to go in a direction and say that maybe D.B. Cooper was working for someone else, or he was actually picked up, or there was a whole different deal, I'm okay with that. But just to throw out a bunch of odd, trippy imagery just because you're a cool artist and you want to do something, really
JD,
funky.
You're just a teddy bear racist, aren't you?
I am a teddy bear racist. In particular for one-eared teddy bears, because my uncle was once denied a refund by a one-eared teddy bear at a Walmart. So,
Well, the thing is, okay, I think I understand where the teddy bear comes from, because the red
Akira?
teddy bear.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Okay, so the red teddy bear is in the fantasy world, but there's also, at the Kremlin, there's also a huge stuffed bear behind this Nikitin. So, and he's also red, so I'm thinking that's where some of the crossover has to
That's the
come.
link.
But, yeah, that has to be the link, is the two red bears.
Of course, he's red.
That's what I got. Well, yeah, of course,
Kremlin.
red. It's Russian, everything in Russia is red. But yeah, it was fun. It was trippy. I'm definitely going to pick up the second one just to see how they continue on with the story, how it links to the real B.D. Cooper story. So enjoy.
All right. Well, cool. All right.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs. All right. Well, on to things
Especially
that
through eye drops.
on to things that weren't so odd or
A little
lacking
trippy.
story.
Hey, did my video refresh or?
So,
On my end.
yeah, you're
No,
still
I'm gonna
you're spinning
restart my-
circle, and okay, so that's fine. He's gonna be gone for a second. So, on to things that don't suck. Transformers More Than Meets the Eye. I'm willingly and happily going to review a Transformers comic. Not because it's bad, but because it's good. And
Yeah, be glad you're reviewing something that you enjoy.
I know, I'm kind of happy here. But no, we been reading More Than Meets the Eye. We talked about the first issue. We skipped the second, so we're going to talk about the third. I'm still feeling it's light there, but I'm still feeling my original sort of thought on this, that this is sort of a Transformers take on the Odyssey, because we definitely, it's still got that sense of danger lots of people dying. You know, it's still the traveling. I mean, issue 3, and they've just got off of the planet that they were trying, you know, that they sort of crashed on in the first issue. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting. The thrust of the story, I'll give the broad overview and then kind of zoom in on a few bits. But the broad overview of this issue is when we left the last issue, the other Duocon, right? Is that what those were called?
Duobot.
Yeah,
Duobot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The other Duobot, Shock, was found dead in the bowels of the ship, and apparently his spark had been ripped out, which Red Alert thought it was a spark eater. So we basically come back to that point in this issue, and it's basically a manhunt for this spark eater. We learn a little bit about Chrome Dome, because we, of course, didn't have that information as of last time. And most of this, again, is just this hunt for this sort of spark eater.
It's Alien.
It's basically Alien, but with Transformers, which is kind of fun. And there's a little bit of a subplot with Tailgate and Swerve as well. But the resolution I'll get to later, and wow. Yeah, Hot Rod is a little bit of an unconventional
Dude, he's crazy.
leader. Yeah, a little crazy.
I love this Hot Rod.
Like when they told him that, like, you know, it could be like a spark eater, he was like, cool.
Cool.
I'm like thinking,
Yeah.
their leader is crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a loose cannon. You know, he's
Yeah.
Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon. He's a loose cannon.
Yeah, he's a total, like, you know, adrenaline freak, and that's...
But it's the first time that Hot Rod has actually, well, Rodimus has actually
sorry.
felt like Hot Rod since,
Yeah.
like, maybe the Furman Spotlight.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of, I mean, it is hot, you know, very much so.
Yeah, Roberts really, really gets Hot Rod, Rodimus, like, as a character. There's a blank panel, zoom, 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 zoom. Cool.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Something fun happening.
But then that's immediately, like, on the same page is this fantastic little Cybertronian nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Tucked
In the
away
title.
next to the title.
So I want to go...
Nickel, iron, cobalt, chrome. He'll eat your soul, turn your spark to stone. Nickel, iron, cobalt, chrome. Run, little robot. Run away home.
Whoa.
Oh,
So-
that's chilling.
So I want to. So starting out on this issue, though, it's an important first page here because it starts out a little bit before the last issue ended,
Yep.
and Shock is actually going over his dead buddy,
Companion.
partner, companion, other half.
Hello, dude. Well, I think other half might be even more literal than you think because it's the way he talks about
Duobots,
being.
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Duocon's, the idea with Duocon's was that was two vehicles formed one robot. But the way he talks here about it being a walking misnomer, and the way that they have vehicle parts, like ground vehicle parts on both their torsos and legs, it makes you wonder if they're supposed to be two robots who make one vehicle together or something.
That would make sense,
Yeah,
I guess.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But he does he's sort of lamenting his partner, and you know, and so you think, oh, he's going down, he's seeing his buddy, you know, and then the sort of unexpected bit happens where he's like, all right, well then we take this little bit of evidence out of your hand, delete the fact you were calling Prowl, and let's find that tracker you were putting on the ship. So you're like, oh, they were working for Prowl. Interesting.
But I adore the beautiful simplicity and yet complexity of it. I mean, I would have to assume this is the third and final part of Liars A to D, because the story, I mean, obviously there's still loads of questions and loads of seeds for future plots set up amongst the cast, but the core, like, plot ideas and themes that are put in place with the first issue are all essentially followed through to their conclusion in this issue. Who was Prowl talking to when he contacted them in the first issue? It was the Duobots. You know, what made the ship explode? And I love the fact that, like, the ship exploded because Orr was too close to an engine. Why was Orr too close to an engine? Because he was down there putting the tracer on it that Prowl had asked him to put on it.
Right.
It wasn't just that he was standing too close to it, which is like the explanation we got last issue, and you think it's just a clumsiness. And it's like this issue, they never say that that's why he got exploded, but it's like he was down beside an engine because that's what he was told to do, and that's why it happened to him. It's very, very, very intricate yet simplistic.
Yep. And of course we have a whole scene here of Shock actually getting his brain ripped out and then Spark eaten. Which is sort of horrific.
Yeah, when his mouth opened up so wide, God, that's really gruesome.
Yeah, it's sorry.
You could see like what would be their tendons, I guess.
Yeah, it's basically like the jaw ripping open.
Yeah.
Like...
The thing that really makes me chuckle about that, like not to rip on him because I'm past it, but at this point, but not so very long ago, that would not have looked weird in a piece of Alex Milne art because his mouth would already have extended to the sides of his helmet anyway.
So yeah, so we already mentioned that Hot Rod or Rodimus, I guess, is like cool, and he's like, okay, everybody, partner up, go back to your rooms, and we're gonna lock, and it doesn't even say it's just go back to your rooms, and I need you and you and you, and anybody else that thinks you can help with cool stuff, let's go.
Just a precautionary measure in response to something absolutely unremarkable and actually quite boring.
Nothing's wrong.
He's such a politician. He's such a politician.
But not very good still, because it's like nothing to see here,
He just ends it so till all are one.
And of course, I love the next page because then you see like 8 people standing around. So it's like several people ended up, down in the basement, as it were. But we get a reveal about Chrome Dome's deal. The pronunciation I'm not going to be very good at. Do you have that?
Yeah, I don't know because rewind to what's it called? He's a nemosurgeon.
A mnemosurgeon.
I was a nemosurgeon, and it's like, and then Trailbreaker says, "Oh, with an M," because when you say it out loud, it sounds like, and I'm like, is that supposed to be a pun? Is it supposed to sound like something else? I don't get what it sounds like if it's supposed to sound like something else, but.
I'm not sure where that joke was going, so
I don't know.
Maybe something we may have to like send an email and be like, "Can you please explain your
joke?" we're not smart enough to figure it out.
But you remember that scene in Wild Wild West where they put the guy's head on the projector and then they can see like the last image that he saw? That's sort of what Chrome Dome can do, except more so. So where you can actually like tap into the dude's brain and actually like see.
That would be very disturbing.
Well, it makes me think that. Well, it makes me think even more sinister things like that, because he talks about doing this on people that are alive, and it makes me think that Chrome Dome probably spent some time as an interrogator.
Well, Browl said in the very first issue that he really didn't want Chrome Dome to go. He wanted Chrome Dome to stay because he really wanted his talents, and I'm thinking that's the sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's got to be
the mind.
Yeah, which is like a whole nother level. Again, we've taken a character that was by and large just a sideline character, and we've made them very interesting. So, Tailgate's still trying to transform, of which he ends up.
Poor Tailgate.
Of which it's kind of funny because he ends up getting like left behind with Cyclonus, and he's such a like nice but semi-helpless guy that even Cyclonus like helps him out, takes him in the room. He's like, "Okay, cool. So who gets which bed?" Drops him on the floor. Perfect. Tailgate. I'm sorry, Skids and Swerve seem to be building a bit of a relationship, although we're still getting these. Again, we're getting little glimpses, and like you said, they're things that seem to be paying off later, like the gun that he carries that he never remembers that he's carrying for some reason.
Can I just say, each issue that it gets of Transformers, Swerve is coming like in my top 10 Transformers of all time.
Oh,
it's
great. He's like,
gosh.
Oh, so climbing into the ceiling is your way of, no, I still don't get it. But but again, in this sort of like macabre and interesting, fun and yet funny thing in this comic, one of the, of course, Whirl has well, Whirl unintentionally locked out his roommate because now the doors are completely locked and his roommate can't get in. So he's banging on the door trying to get in. Meanwhile, the Spark Eater attacks him and eats him in the hallway, of which Whirl's like, he's like, at first I was just ignoring you, but, really I can't open the door. So Whirl gets out, and there's a whole exchange here, and he tries to, like, blow the thing up, and they're like, you can't do that, he's full of sparks, he'll blow up half the ship. Which half?
I love that. This is like, as a member of the Wreckers, Whirl seems like he feels compelled to deliver action hero lines. Like, just before he shoots at the Spark Eater, he's like, if there's one thing I can't stand, it's a messy eater. Hey, Bennett, let off some steam. Remember that I said I would kill you last? It's that sort of thing.
Exactly. Now, the interesting thing is that...
like I said, that doesn't seem to be an artifact of the writing, but like deliberately an artifact of Whirl, because he thinks that's what he is, because he used to be a wrecker,
Right. He's got that sort of, action hero sort of mentality. Now, what's interesting...
I love that as well, Trailbreaker comes around the corner and he goes, oh, look, it's Trailbreaker, the one-trick pony. Trailbreaker is never used in a story unless somebody needs a force field thrown up around something.
The meta stuff is just brilliant, really. But they mentioned the Spark Eater is going to go after whoever has the brightest spark, and I don't know who Rodimus was thinking that was, but for some reason
it was himself.
I think so too, but it turns out to be not him, but Rung. Which is even more interesting. I mean, that's just another seed of something odd. But we do have sort of a sideline here where Cyclonus sort of gives a recap to Tailgate of the war. 6 million years condensed down into one page.
Can I say this is some of the prettiest art? I love this. Toned down pastel kind of artwork. I love it.
Yeah, I think the colors do a lot for it.
The coloring is one of my favorite things about this whole book.
Yeah. But it is an interesting panel. I mean, there's a lot of art going on, but I think you can pick out all the pieces to it, and I think it tells the story fairly well. So, but in particular, there's a note about how they pick sides and things, and then we just sort of move on to the rest of the adventure, where Skids is sort of trying to bail out, trying to save Rung.
And for goodness sake, they're crawling around in a duck vent with an alien scrolling.
I know, it's brilliant. It's just got those total action movie sort of
half
feel.
Alien, half Die Hard.
Yes, exactly. Brilliant. One of my other favorite parts in here is when they lead the alien. Skids leads the Spark Eater, I guess, to the elevator shaft where Brainstorm is stuck in it, and it starts to act like it's going to go after them, and they run. And even Skids is like, we can't help him. He's already dead. And Brainstorm's like, I'm too smart to die.
Yeah, I loved Ron's little comment when they were in the duct. Also, how come you get a grappling hook and all I get is a thumb with a microphone in it?
Like, you have a thumb with a microphone in it?
It's his special thumb. There is no other like it.
That's great.
But Rodimus's grand plan. So here we come to Rodimus's grand plan. His grand plan, after he finds out that Rung is the thing that it's after, he stands on the other side, basically, of the engines and puts Perceptor on the ready. Then, against his will, holds Rung up as a sort of bait offering to the Spark Eater. And then when the Spark Eater gets close enough, he tosses Rung out of the way, grabs the Spark Eater, has Perceptor hit the engines, and shoves it, his forearms and all, into the now phased engine block. Totally insane. I mean, just totally insane. And yet, brilliant. I mean, obviously it takes care of the problem.
Yeah.
And he sort of repeats the line about the first rule of interstellar travel, never stand too close to
That's the sort of thing I'm talking about when I'm saying the whole, just the general threads of it all come back around to their like natural conclusion here. It's like, it's not like the Chekhov's gun, as they say, the concept where if you have a gun hanging over a mantle in the first act of a play, that shit is going to be fired by the third act.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, it's just what it is. It's just very skillfully crafted as a three-part story where you feel like there's all these. I mean, obviously, there's the whole thing about Skids is still there. Ratchet's general concerns seem to be like they're going to be the focus of the next arc. You've got what's coming up with Tailgate here, Swerve and his little, you know, maybe we have a bartender on the ship now. You know, like all those are still there, but just like as a nice tight 3-issue story, it's just very, very well crafted.
Yeah, and I'll leave that little bit. I won't mention the Tailgate's little deal at the end because I think that's kind of interesting.
I got a question.
There's a good ender.
Does this make Hot Rod the Anakin of the Transformers universe? Since now he has.
Since he's got the replaced forearms.
No, he is like twice as good because he has 2.
Yeah, he's got 2 of those cool skeletal hand things.
But dude, Rodimus is just like. I mean, I'm kind of afraid for this crew, you know, because of Rodimus. You know?
Well, the thing is, I think he's getting a little bit too power hungry. Because remember, in this one, he was talking about, well, of course they're going to come after me. I have the biggest spark, and then he was kind of disappointed when it didn't come after him.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah,
comparisons have been drawn between this and Justice League International, and it's like this is what would happen if Guy Gardner was actually in charge of the team.
Yeah, I think so.
That's,
yeah. So, but it's great.
This is Batman.
Yeah, yes.
One Punch, maybe coming up. I don't know.
I never thought that by issue 3 that I would be so looking forward to a bunch of different. Things are just like, you know, the gun in the hand, you know, what Tailgate says, just all these things, and it's just little things. Like when the Spark Eater was going to get Brainstorm, and it leaves him. Why did it leave him?
I know, it's like, did it just follow him because it went after the brightest spark, or is the unmentionable in his briefcase? Did that fend it off? What's going on
That's
there?
what I'm thinking. Like, whatever's in that briefcase
did that scare him? Yeah, I mean,
like, what's in that briefcase? Oh my God, it's a Transformers comic. I don't expect this shit.
I know. It like captivated.
No.
It's so good.
It's amazing what happens when there's like story and plot and things. And
oh my God,
Transformers
dude, this is better than a Brian Michael Bendis Avengers comic. What in the hell happened?
I know, and the dialogue is just great. I mean, really, there's a lot of dialogue.
This is how you balance a large cast. Bendis, take notes.
Awesome.
You know?
Yeah,
take notes of a Transformers.
You don't just have people stand around to make funny faces. You know,
just think about it. Just like you two a year ago when you were reading Transformer comics, she's like, it felt like a chore.
Yeah.
And now it's like a treat. You're just like,
Exactly.
If at this point you have not been buying these comics and you like Transformers, even if you don't like Transformers, try it out. You know, just you got 3 issues.
There are some sick, depraved people out there who aren't enjoying this stuff.
What?
Really?
What's wrong with them?
I know. There's a few of them. They're odd people, but they do exist.
They're wrong.
I know they are. You know, it's like everybody has their opinion and everything, but some opinions are just wrong.
They're just wrong. I've met lots of people with wrong opinions.
Like, you could, like, go into this comic and don't even think of it as a Transformers comic. Think of it as Star Trek, dude. It's basically Star Trek.
It's a sci-fi comic.
I think, like, some people, that's the problem they're having with it.
They're used to Transformers sucking so bad that they can't understand. Like, I don't understand. It's Transformers and it's good. I can't.
Wait a minute. What do you mean Optimus isn't going to open the Matrix and
save the world? Yeah.
Save the world.
Where does he play basketball in here? I don't understand.
Hey. Not be knocking that, okay?
Oh, no. Anything?
We do not talk bad about the master builders in this podcast.
Do you think Duke could beat Optimus Prime triplet?
Oh my God!
What?
Sorry, it's American college basketball reference.
Oh, okay. See,
Triplet's favorite team lost to a very low seed team.
It was bad.
And I think I worried half of Britain that he was dying. So, anyway, All right, cool. So there you go. Transformers MTMTE. Chris McFeely, take us away, sir.
Oh, hell yeah. Do you know what's out this week? Fantastic Four 604 is out this week. And it's not Jonathan Hickman's last issue. It's not. We still have about another half year of Jonathan Hickman. But it is. It sure
felt like a last issue.
Mm-hmm.
It is the final chapter of the 3-year story that began with Solve Everything before this podcast even existed. And I came on and started poking you all with a stick and said, read this, it's good.
And we did.
It's all come to an end here. Now, as far as... there's probably little in the issue that will surprise, save for one completely awesome moment. But it is... probably most readers will have put the pieces together if they've been following it all this time. At the conclusion of last issue, and last month's FF as well, Franklin and Valeria from the future, last seen must be nearly 2 years ago at this point, leaping into the time stream as the revisions that they had made to the past changed their future, have reappeared at the pivotal moment as the Fantastic Four are faced down with the Celestials, who have come to Earth to eliminate the last of the Council of Reeds, going back to the very, very start of Hickman's story with the Interdimensional Council. And Franklin, it turns out as well, was the mysterious white figure who guided Franklin in the increased use of his powers, which was not so very long ago. That was the odd thing to me. I was a little surprised that plot thread was paid off as quickly as it was, given that it was only introduced in the 600. I thought that was gonna last a little longer. But older Franklin absorbs younger Franklin's powers to super duper Franklinize himself, and then just lays into the Celestials while Nathaniel Richards explains why everything has been the way it must be over the last 3 years. And, just when it looks like Franklin is not going to make it, he awakens Galactus. and
that was great.
The fight as well. To me, my Galactus!
I love that line. Oh, my God. Where they were talking, what was that line? Though Galactus has had many heralds, Franklin has only had one, I think is what it said.
Yes.
I don't even really know what that means, but I don't care.
Well, I mean, just on the surface, it's like, holy shit, are you saying that Galactus is Franklin's herald? Oh, fucking hell. Wow.
I wondered for a moment if that was the unconscious Galactus, and I believe it was, just based on the story. The conscious Galactus who'd appeared and fought the Celestials already, or if Franklin was somehow reviving the Galactus corpse from the future.
Yeah, I kind of thought it might
No, I think it was the unconscious one.
No, I think it was just the unconscious one, but I thought it would make sense if he was reanimating the one from the future, because then the one from the future would have already... If he's implying that Galactus would be Franklin's herald, servant, avatar, whatever in the future, that the dead future Galactus would know his master, and then that wouldn't be an issue. But I suppose, Franklin's powers would put a stop to any problems there.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that one, was it a skeleton? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a corpse.
It wasn't
a skeleton, but it was desiccated.
Yeah, okay, then it wasn't. Never mind.
Yeah, no, he's all healthy and fleshy there.
Yeah.
And they beat the Celestials, really. Spoilers, the good guys win.
Yeah, really. Shocker on that part.
Just Galactus pounds on the Celestials in some really gorgeous pages. You think for a minute, maybe no, but no, it's all good. Good guys won. And it's just the wonderful putting of all the last few pieces in place, many of which I've suspected for a long time, I love the fact that Valeria, for all her holier-than-thou-ness, was not right. She was as much a cog in the machine as everybody else. She couldn't be allowed to do any more than she was allowed to do, because she still thought that... Well, we know from past stories, when she reopened the bridge to get back in touch with the council, she thought her dad had made the wrong choice.
Right.
Yeah.
That in leaving the council and sacrificing the many for the few for his family, that was the wrong thing to do. And that's that cold alienness about Valeria. And she still believes it even then and there whenever she's challenged with it. But if Reed had never done that, there would never be a Franklin now here to stop this from happening. Reed would have died then, and it would all have been over. And the epilogue. Oh, the epilogue. I mean, I there was a little sharp intake of breath when I turned the. I thought it was over, with the Fantastic Four with that page.
Yeah.
But I turned the page, and the epilogue is. I just gotta blow it. The epilogue is a mirror of the prologue of the very first issue of Hickman's run, except instead of young Reed and Nathaniel, it's Franklin and Reed. Instead
It's so
of
good.
and I remember I read that prologue, and I was like, I don't know where he's going with this, but I know I'm on board. Just the idea. Well, Reed quotes his own father's dialogue. It's okay to be afraid, it's okay to fail, but to say that you're not even willing to try, that's unacceptable. And it's like, whenever Nathaniel says it, and Nathaniel is a character from the past, you do get this sense of a vaguely cold authoritarian, but also how Reed's love of the idea of exploration and always trying to venture past the next horizon was instilled in Reed, and it all just comes around. But it's not just jumping. No, it's something else entirely. Where that jump that Reed took was his first step into, going somewhere that he didn't know, basically venturing into the unknown. He didn't know what would happen, but he did it, but we as readers, we know where Reed wound up. So this is Reed's first step into becoming the man that he would be, pushed by his father metaphorically. And the course of this storyline has shown us the man Franklin will be, and here we are now at the very end as an epilogue, seeing how his father essentially pushed him with the exact same speech his father gave him to take the first step into being the man that he will be. Oh, fuck, it's good. I love that.
That's so awesome.
Good stuff. I mean,
like this
wow.
makes me even sadder.
I know.
With the news that Jonathan Hickman's leaving. I mean, oh my God, because like you said, this has been going on for so long. It's wrapped up so well.
That 3 years is considered a super long run, though. This is where we are in comics.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
8 years is a thing now. Although we've had 8 years of Bendis on the Avengers, which has never been about anything. It's just been one thing after another. But this is the. I think this is probably the first time in a long time at Marvel when we've had. DC have had it. You get that Morrison on Batman or whatever else he's been doing, But this is the first time in a while I think I can really point to a Marvel comic and say, here is an author who had a long-form... Brubaker's Captain America, actually, probably from Winter Soldier through to Captain America Reborn would be another example, I think, of a writer who came on and said, here is my story. I will now tell it over the long form across all periods of time. I think it was a bit more obvious that Hickman was telling a long form story than it was with Brubaker, but it's not the end. We get an epilogue in the next issue of FF, and then about half a year's worth of of short stories, not all done in one snippet, but short stories across Fantastic Four and FF to round us out. So I think when the time comes to really say goodbye to Hickman, that will not be as painful, because we have had the climax now, and now we have the added benefit, the courtesy of a wind down, so we can see everything settling down. And I don't know who's going to follow Hickman, honestly, but it is some big shoes to be stepping into.
Oh God, yeah.
Who
could do it? I mean, do you want to throw a name out that you want to see? I mean, who do you think?
I'd like to see Kieran Gillen on the Fantastic Four.
That would be great. I would go for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'd be great.
It's the first name that springs to mind as somebody who is writing comics at the moment that deal with concepts that just sort of float beyond the way the world is right now. But whereas Journey into Mystery is on the magical side of things, I'd like to see him do what he's doing with that, but on a science side of things, if that makes any kind of sense. I mean, you look at something like S.H.I.E.L.D. or in the Manhattan Project, like I reviewed a week or two ago there. Was it last week? Yeah, I think it was. Where Hickman is really throwing the high concept, one sentence craziness at you. But he's never done that in Fantastic Four. For whatever, and that's, if there's a Marvel book that if there's an established Marvel franchise or book that you could really get away with one crazy one sentence tech things in. Fantastic Four is probably it, you know. I would really love to see Grant Morrison get a shake at the Fantastic Four outside of that miniseries that I reviewed the graphic novel of a month or two ago as well. But he's busy over at DC these days, you know. Yeah. Fantastic Four, you know, I've said it before. Fantastic Four are my favorite superheroes, but they're not always my favorite comic. But Jonathan Hickman really came along and pushed them right up the list there, you know.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four has turned from a book that I read into a book that I anticipated.
I really didn't think that someone would do a run on Fantastic Four that I liked better than Mark Waid, because I loved the Mark Waid run, and dude, Jonathan Hickman knocked it out of the park.
Oh, I mean, this run is going to go down of the great Fantastic Four runs.
Yeah.
It is going to go down up there with Waid and Ringo, with Byrne, and really Lee and Kirby is the only one above those two. You know, I think really this has probably got to come in at 3 behind Lee and Kirby at 1 and Byrne at 2. This has got to come in at 3, and Waid and Ringo is after that. You know, it is going to go down as one of the all-time greats. I'd tell you to read it, but it's over now. And frankly, I mean, if you haven't read it yet and you're still listening to this show, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
What can I say that isn't going to get you to read it now at this stage? You know, I mean, maybe the fact that it's over now, so the whole thing will be ready for you. I'm be very interested to see how they plan to collect this last story. I mean, there's 4 volumes of Fantastic Four, 2 volumes of FF, and
wow.
you know, you could certainly
collect. That omnibus is going to be one fantastic read for whatever lucky fan picks that up.
A fantastic read for a Fantastic Four.
I mean, you could certainly collect all 5 parts of Forever into a trade on their own, but I would not envy the person who got Volume 3 of FF and got all those random in-between chapter parts.
Yeah.
I think if they were really wanted to send it off good and proper, they should collect, you know, Fantastic Four 600 to 604 and FF 12 to 15 or whatever it is, like in one big book together as the finale, and then we get two volumes worth of epilogue, one from each of the series afterwards. That's Fantastic Four. I can't gush enough about it, but I'd better stop because there's more to come.
Yep.
Cool. So that brings us to something which Chris McFeely basically forced us all to buy.
He not forced us, he told us about it.
He highly suggested it, and it was also highly suggested by my shop as well. And I saw this huge book for $3, and I just couldn't pass up, so I bought it. Mm-hmm. So
this is 44 pages of story for $3. No ads.
Awesome.
That's not bad.
Not bad. That's amazing. That's fantastic. If
yeah.
this was done by Marvel or DC, this book would be $8.
And see, I got the digital version. See, I don't even pay attention to like how many pages it was, but yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it doesn't feel thicker in your hand or anything. You know, when you pick this up, it's like there's weight there. I mean, I think this is just for the first issue. I don't think every issue is going to be like this or anything.
But I kind of felt like it was okay because like I'm reading this sort of spacey story on like my Kindle, and I feel kind of like attuned with this space opera, you know, with my.
Okay, well, did we say the title? Because this is Saga.
Saga.
Yeah, Saga.
Saga from Brian K. Vaughan. Brian K. Vaughan, the writer of Why the Last Man, the writer of Ex Machina, creator of Runaways, has had runs on various other things, wrote some Ultimate X-Men, wrote very good Doctor Strange, Wolverine, did some Buffy, has been out of comics for a little while now, working on television, was one of the story editors in the later seasons of Lost. This is his big return, so I was all set up for this. In fact, I read very little about it in advance. But well, the high concept of this is it's Romeo and Juliet in space.
Yeah.
You have one member each of 2 warring planets. Well, warring planet and its moon. The planet,
Landfall?
Yes, the planet Landfall and its moon Wreath are at war. But because for the destruction of either one of these planetary bodies would be mutually assured destruction, they essentially outsource their war to other planets. And the action in this case picks up on the planet Cleve, where one member of each of the planets. I mean, this is the tremendous way. The whole backstory is filled in as story. We don't have to go through the dull process of the characters meeting and going, oh, he's from there, but she's from there, and falling in love. No, it's already happened. It's pregnant. It starts with the lead character giving birth. The first line of dialogue is, am I shitting? It feels like I'm shitting.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Love that.
Yes. The races involved are a race of winged technology users from. I'm trying to remember who comes from where. You know, I really wanted to give
the winged people are from Landfall. The horned people are from
wanted to give
Moon.
this a second read, but I didn't get the time to. Yes, a race of winged technology users from Landfall and horned magic users from Wreath. So you know, it's not just Romeo and Juliet in space. It is like, I believe, like some promotion like basically trailed it as Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. So you've got your magic users on one side, your mages and your really mythological imagery of the horns and goat faces and all the rest of it, and then you've got these people with sometimes their bat wings, sometimes their feathered wings, with all their laser pistols and everything. That broadly it begins with Alana, who is the winged character from Landfall, giving birth to their daughter, the daughter that she's had with Marco from Wreath. And that's some pretty nasty depiction of childbirth this side of Miracle Man.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say, I would say that Alan Moore depiction is probably a bit worse, but yeah.
Am I shitting? It feels like I'm shitting.
Although the dialogue in this is awesome.
Yeah, the dialogue is great.
Yeah.
Seriously, you'll never have sex with me again if I defecate all over you. Unless you're secretly into that. Please don't be into that.
Brian K. Vaughan has always had a great ear for dialogue, you know, and it's great how he's able to like, they start talking about names for the child, you know, and they talk about, like, what is it, wing, they said, we don't have to make a final decision on her name until their first wing bleeding, and he's like, what, no way, I'm not going to mutilate our child for the sake of religion, and it's just like, it's all too human and personable argument. Like, Brian K. Vaughan has a tendency in his work for statistics, you know, to quote, did you know X number of Y are killed every year, and la la la. And there's almost a sense that he's sort of subverting that with this one when he talks about all these very real world ideas in an almost humorous tone. And then Baron Robot the 13th appears.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was at that point that I was like, I don't know where this is going, but I am on board for this. I was on board when the robot in the epauletted military jacket and jackboots and jodhpurs with a television for a head and a gun for an arm, and his name is Baron Robot the 23rd. I beg your pardon, I was underselling him.
Yeah.
How dare you? That's going to get you exiled.
So she gives birth. Anyway, as the story goes, she gives birth, and then the forces of Landfall arrive, having been beautiful. Okay, you know, there's a knock at the door. Alana says, "What was that?" Margaret says, "I don't know. The grease monkey I picked up, so where we'd have this place to ourselves because this is a nasty garage. Like, this is the best they could manage to have this town was a nasty garage." And you know, then we see the grease monkey, and it's a monkey.
It's an actual monkey. The grease monkey is a literal monkey.
They don't go any further with it. They don't draw attention to it. They don't make a big pun out of it. It's just there. If you see it and get it, you get it. If you don't, well, you're not paying attention. But they bust in, but then mages from Wreath arrive at the same time, and they wind up killing each other just in time to allow Marco and Alana and their unnamed baby to get away.
Now, was it weird that they didn't get shot? I mean, what's... You know what I mean? Like, you know, there...
No, I think that's just fortunate coincidence.
Just fortunate coincidence? Okay, I didn't know if maybe there was something else going on there.
I know.
I was thinking maybe it had to do something with the baby. Maybe the baby's producing
See, no,
kind of...
I think that is the wrong direction to be thinking in for this. Well, we'll get to it a little later in the comic, but I just don't think that's the right sort of way to think about this. I knew I was just really disappointed when Baron Robot the 23rd's head was chopped in half, and I was like, Baron Robot, I hardly knew ye.
Yes.
and then I turn a couple of pages, and there's two of these robots, you know, doggy style, just boning.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for how mature this comic is. Like,
They actually.
When you mentioned this comic, I was like thinking, okay, this is just gonna be kind of like a fun kind of space opera type of story, and then like the first word, like F-bombs are dropping. There's robots, people with human anatomy.
They put a sign up at my shop in front of this issue and said, you know, not for young readers. Basically, to clarify.
Yeah.
So the firefight ends with them as the only survivors, and the Grease Monkey gives them a map that'll get them to safety. And then we get the flashback filled in. Now, little parts of it up to this point have been narrated by the child, presumably from some far-off point in the future. And they're not in caption boxes; they're just on dialogue, just written on the page. And if we get the history of Cleve, we find out how they're outsourcing this thing. And Prince Robot the Fourth is just back from the Crusades, and he's trying to get it on with his beloved, but you know he's seen some nasty things and he can't quite perform. So poor Prince Robot.
Wow. It's you don't expect to turn the page and be like, oh wow. Oh, that's happening. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's an image I can't get out of my mind now.
Oh, it's right there, you know.
Yeah.
It's distinctly unsexual, though.
It is really. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is it's like, it is very.
But let us make one thing clear. If this artist wanted to make it sexy, they could make this some sexy, because this is a gorgeous comic.
Oh yeah, the art is amazing.
This is by Fiona Staples. There's this vaguely scratchy, sketched sense to it, but the craftsmanship at work is just oh god, absolutely just a gorgeous comic, gorgeous.
I love the faces, by the way. Just we move away from art, because all the faces are just great. Facial emotion and everything is just works so well.
So we get the backstory filled in through various expositions from various characters, but essentially, in addition to outsourcing their war, the forces of Landfall and Wraith are also outsourcing the assassination of these two hideous deserters with their desires of interbreeding and all the rest of it. So the forces of Landfall have called upon Prince Robot the Fourth to sort it out. While I just loved this scene where we see Wraith have hired a bounty hunter. Does he have a name? Did we get his name?
The Will.
That's right. His name is. That's right. I forgot he didn't know. His name is Will. You know, he comes to Reef to get the job, and he's attacked by a monster as a little bit of a test. You know, and I love this bit. Like the elder who has hired him tells him that he must kill her because let's see. Where are we? The tablets of prophecy have just revealed that Marco will soon be responsible for the deaths of million innocent souls, and the large, snaggly-looking cat that the Will has brought with him just goes, lying.
Beautiful.
I love the cat.
I know, yeah. That cat looks like it's been through the wars a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And it's called a lying cat, and he keeps it around. It's his pet because it keeps his clients honest. And it's like, yeah, all right, there is no super mystical destiny involved here. This is just pretty disgusting, and we don't want fraternizing with the enemy, and we need to have her killed to protect morale. That's all it is. There's no highfalutin ideas behind it. It's just really
says the old lady with a unicorn horn.
Yeah.
I know.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, in between those two scenes, our characters are trekking through the sewers to get to the rocket ship first.
Yes.
Still arguing about the name and about you know, with the little we get like insights into their beliefs and their there's, you know, I mean, it's funny. We don't see a lot about these characters' personal past, and I mean, we do get a sense for Alana's family life here. You know, my old man threw his life away working a job he hated so he could take care of his family, you know. But the great thing about this is how these are not just we get a great sense of the characters' beliefs. And I don't know when I could last point at a comic that really told me that. You know, we get a sense of their religious beliefs and their beliefs in the like the cultures of their people, or their pacifism, or Marco hates firearms. You know, it's just I really feel like I know these characters quite well already after one issue. You know, I mean it's two lead issues, but we have the villains closing in on them as well, and they get to where the map shows that there should be a bridge.
Well,
and there's
a bridge,
so hooray! The map is accurate, but unfortunately, the camp under the bridge has been razed. And then it's to this absolutely brilliant scene. Again, I think is Brian K. Vaughan playing a little with the expectations of the fusion of genres he's working in. You know, Marco saying, you know, the map's right because it shows us where the bridge is. You know, we've survived worse scripts. Time we have something else on our side, and he holds the baby up and he says, "We have hope." And it's like it's like, oh, the baby has a name. If you think I'm calling my daughter that, I want a divorce. Boom.
Yeah. That was great.
And then the omniscient narration just goes, "My name is Hazel."
Which is great.
And you know, it's at this point that that Hazel just nails down the point that I was making earlier, which is like thinking the baby has something to do. Not much more to be. I started out as an idea, but I ended up something more. Not much more. It's not like I grow up to be some great war hero or any sort of all-important savior. But thanks to my parents, I got to grow old.
That was great.
It's like, this is not Star Wars, and the fact that the weird kid that everybody's looking for is going to turn out to be the savior of the universe. This is not Lord of the Rings, where one man is going to quest into the dark heart of the evil forces with his friends at his side. This is just a story of two people raising a child in the middle of a war with no greater significance upon their family than the fact that both sides happen to want them dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I like that last page too, like where they're kissing, and then it says not everybody does. Is you reference
sort
to that, you know, at least I get to grow old. And in the background, all those red eyes, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. I mean, it's that image of them too. So I think it sort of implies a more tragic.
Yeah, somewhere down the line, 50 issues from now, maybe somebody's not going to come out of this alive, you know. But is life. That is the sort of war. This is the sort of scenario that's being created. This is just a story of two normal people who happen to love the wrong person and who made something beautiful out of it, but who want to be destroyed for it. But there's nothing special about them, and there's nothing special about the child they've made. They're just normal people who find themselves in some very unenviable circumstances.
And if all of that sounds really boring, giant fire-breathing turtle. Giant fire-breathing turtle!
Giant fire-breathing turtle.
That was awesome. That is awesome, I would tell you.
Giant fire-breathing turtle.
Yeah.
But don't get hung up on crazy high concepts like that.
No, I mean, that's cool, though.
You know, I think the lying cat was probably the one I enjoyed the most. Aside from the television-headed robots. You know, this is real fooly-cooly FLCL. Can't, you know, if you know the anime FLCL, these things are basically the robot from that called Conti, who had a TV series set for a head. But banging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, despite all that crazy stuff that happens in it, it's pretty much a down-to-earth type of a story, and I was really surprised. I really liked it. I think I'm gonna have to make room for this book.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
like I said, really I was on board for this with Baron Robot. I mean, I was on board for it already because Brian K. Vaughan. I knew. I was all ready for it. But Baron Robot just cemented it for me for whatever reason. But I'm not saying he's the best thing about it or anything, but I did lament his all too brief passing.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, it is Romeo and Juliet in space as a high concept, but so very much more in execution.
Yeah, I mean, and it certainly plays on a lot of things.
What's probably most interesting about it is that I don't really enjoy fantasy. You know, sword, sorcery, dragons, magic, all the rest of it. I don't really enjoy hard sci-fi spaceships, lasers, Star Trek, Babylon 5. There's not, yeah, I don't. Those are two genres that I'm not particularly bothered with. I think I talked about it on the show a while back, but when I was given pause a while ago to stop and really think about what it is I enjoy in fiction and why it was that I was enjoying Journey into Mystery as much as I was, as an example, for something where I don't enjoy fantasy very much, I realized that an element that I enjoy in my fiction is the fantastic intruding itself upon real life or the real world, or vice versa. And that is very much what this is. This is a story of a very real couple with very real, ordinary problems involved in raising a child, cultural, tribal, religious belief differences, who also happen to be wanted by their governments.
Yeah.
In one senses. One of which is a tribe of magic users, and the other which is a society of winged techno villains. Yeah, and that's another thing as well. Is like nobody is right in this. Either.
No,
this is Romeo and Juliet in the sense that there's no heroes and there's no evil empire and there's no rebels. There's no good guys and bad guys. It's just like two bunches of cunts went to war.
Yeah.
And these unfortunate real people wind up trapped in the middle. And
yeah.
I feel I could go on, but I would just be repeating myself at this stage.
Yeah.
So is it possible that we could say, and I know it's pretty far in advance, that maybe this is the best new series for 2012 when we get to the end of the year? I mean, because I was
certainly
really
nominee.
By it.
Yeah.
It's an early nominee, all right, because it's
a star, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a strong start. We'll put it that way.
It's a strong start. Yeah.
So, and that's the hope, is that it doesn't drop off. I mean, sometimes with something like this, you get a really strong start because the concept in essence is so interesting, and then the question becomes, will it hold up as a part of a serial? So I think it's a very good start. I wouldn't even go as far as to say that I'm skeptical that it won't make it, but I think that would be my only reservation, is that this is a really interesting concept. This is a really interesting layout. How much, how does it have legs? Is it
well, I
gonna
think
really
that he's sketched in enough of the characters with this first issue to take it beyond its concept already. Which is not what a lot of things manage to do with their first issue, where they say, right, here's the concept, and then they build upon it as time goes on. This is like here's the concept, and
Cooper.
Come on,
D.B. Cooper was awesome.
but with this one, we get the concept explained to us in a couple of pages, and then the rest of the book is dedicated to really fleshing out who this cast of characters are. This is not a book that trades on its concept.
Yeah.
This is a book that is going to trade on the strength of his characters, and it's written by Brian K. Vaughan, so he always writes great characters. There's a reason Runaways has been hailed as the best new concept to come out of Marvel in the last 30 years, So if you didn't get this, kind of tough shit, because it's already sold out. It was sold out before it came out. I don't know if you guys know.
It's not sold out on Comics.
Yeah, you can get the download. In fact, as we have been recording this, Tylux,
I got it today. I bought it today, so I did not have to look for the first printing comic book like you poor suckers. I went to Comixology and bought it a few hours before the show.
So as we have been,
I like to support my local comic shop. Thank you.
But as we've been recording this, Tylux actually downloaded it. So just based on our discussion of this. So there you go.
Well, your store may still have some copies, I suppose. When they say it's sold out, it means retailers ordered the entire print run. So your store may still have some copies on the shelves, but response has been very good. There's been a big push behind it. There is already a second printing schedule, so if you do want the Dead Tree edition, that is going to be out in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's about 3 or 4 weeks in time for the second issue, so you'll still be able to, I think the first and second issue are probably out in the same week, so you'll still be able to get them. And frankly, at 44 pages for $3, I think it's a federal crime if you don't.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's such a...
That's got to be prosecutable somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good deal. And like I said, my shop was like, no, you have to have this. So, they had about 3 copies left when I bought mine. So, but that was on Wednesday, at 5 o'clock. So, doubtful that any of those are left for the local crew. So, but yeah, awesome. It's good stuff.
I think I'm going to have to add it to my pull list.
There you
I
go.
don't need another book. Damn it, I'm going to have to add something.
But you might need this, and you might not
need this
something
one,
else. You might not need something else. So
it's like, what do I need to cancel? probably
I
Avengers.
I could probably get rid of Green Lantern.
I don't need Avengers Assembled.
Yeah, we didn't. There's a lot of things that came out this week we didn't talk about, including Batgirl, Batwoman, Green Lantern. Some of those were good. We wanted to talk about some other stuff. I imagine we'll talk about Green Lantern for the next issue because they're getting into some Indigo Tribe stuff, and of course we're still largely in the dark on that. So I'm interested on that. I know that Don had mentioned that he was hoping we would talk about it, but this was really a setup kind of issue, and so there wasn't a lot of meat. I think we'll hopefully get some more meat as we get into the next issues, so we'll go there. Cool, very good. Well, that's a show. Went a little long. We'll get back there. It's good. That Saga was long though. It's hard to not go long.
We had some good stuff, and I think we really needed to take time to kind of talk it.
Absolutely. So yeah, and like I said, it didn't look like there's a lot of stuff out anymore out of WonderCon, but we'll see. We're getting into convention season, so there'll probably be.
I saw something on DC Comics Twitter, and I don't know if this is from WonderCon, where they were saying something about the free comic book day. We're going to see more about Pandora.
I think they announced that a while back.
And I did want to mention that is coming up rather rapidly. Of course, free comic book day is the first Sunday in May? Saturday in May? Saturday in May.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's.
I have my bag here that says so.
Says so, yes.
Free comic book day, free. First Saturday in May.
There you go. So we're rapidly approaching that. So maybe check with your local comic shops, see what events they have going. I know mine in Oklahoma City, which is New World Comic. They are rapidly preparing for things. So yeah, so that should be a lot of fun. But cool. Well, very good. Well, we're going to get out of here. Here in the States, we are in the midst of March Madness basketball. And,
who cares?
My team is still playing. Chris Triplett's team lost. Duke lost in the first round. 15th seed team.
Forget that also because, dude, the season finale of Walking Dead's tonight. You need to check that out.
Oh, good. Are they leaving the farm?
What the hell's going on?
I don't even watch the series,
will.
and all I know is that they have not left the farm. So
maybe they will tonight.
They're probably buying the farm.
I think when your series is becoming an internet joke for the wrong reason, I think you're doing something wrong. Because when people that aren't even aware of the series are asking, when are they leaving the farm? That could be an issue,
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll say this. I have not watched it since it came back from the break, but I have kept up on what it's been doing. And I said to myself, I would give it I would watch the last episode because I didn't feel I would have missed much, and then I would give it a legitimate go again on the third season because they've cast the governor, and the governor does not appear until the 5th book, so they have shaken the one season, one book thing that ruined this season. However, it seems like I should have watched from the second to last episode because things did actually happen in the second to last episode. But without offering up any spoilers for readers of the comic book or people who may not have seen the episode yet, there is one thing that I always said from the moment the series started. I said, if they let this happen, I don't say what it is, but anybody who knows what it will know what I'm talking about. If they let this thing happen, it will be the test of the show's balls. And if they let that happen, we're good. Going forward, we will be fine. And they didn't.
Nope.
I have completely lost faith in the show as a consequence. I do not think we will see anything on the level of any of the stuff that is coming if they couldn't even go through with what is one of the comparatively most minor, shocking things out of the whole run of the series. And I'm not thinking I'm really going to bother going back to season 3 after all.
The last 2 weeks have been pretty good.
Yes, but you don't know. Well, if you don't know the event I was referring to, then
we'll talk about it after the show here because I got to know what this is.
Yeah,
so, anyway,
I really want to talk to you about it. So hopefully we can take time after they've aired and people watch them. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, very good. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Go to the website, tfradio.net or at www.fanboyversus.com and check us out there. And please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2011 Radio Free Cybertron.